So what happens when the very technology that's supposed to keep you safe becomes the one thing you're terrified of? We're going to do a deep dive into a script called the HomeSafe Haunting, which takes the modern smart home and turns it into a digital house of horrors. Let's break down exactly how it weaponizes the devices we all trust to create a whole new kind of fear.
All right, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at the idea of the new haunted house and what happens when you have an unreliable digital witness. Then we'll find the ghost in the code, see the home itself turn on its owner, and finally, we'll dissect the anatomy of tech horror.
So first up, the new haunted house. Yeah, you can just forget about the old Gothic mansion with the dusty cobwebs and creaky floors. This script completely reimagines the classic haunted house, grounding the terror in the very real anxieties of our super-connected modern world.
And this really shows you the fundamental shift. The source of fear isn't a creaky floorboard anymore. It's a glitched-out security camera feed. It's not some ghostly whisper from the walls. It's your own voice being mimicked and twisted by an AI. The whole threat has literally moved from the physical world right into the digital one.
The story kicks off with our main character, Elias, just chilling on his couch. It's a totally normal night. His smart home system, HomeSafe, is just humming along in the background, being a silent guardian. And that initial feeling of safety, that's the whole key, because the real horror comes from watching that safe space get completely violated from the inside out.
And that brings us to our second big idea, the unreliable digital witness. See, this is where the horror really starts to creep in. It plants these seeds of doubt, not in ghosts or ghouls, but in the very technology that Elias trusts to tell him the truth. And just look at how fast this all goes down. At 11:42, there's a motion alert in the kitchen. Elias just brushes it off, right? Probably the cat. But then, 2 minutes later, an alert for the living room, the room he's sitting in. And just 1 minute after that, boom, total system failure. His entire digital fortress just crumbles in less than 3 minutes. Now this is the moment where everything flips. Elias glances at his phone and sees this terrifying distorted shadow on the camera feed, standing right behind him. He whips his head around, and there's nothing there. The script creates this insane split between what's physically real and what's digitally real, which makes the terror completely psychological. And this forces a really terrifying question, not just for Elias, but for us too. We rely on these devices to be our extra senses, right? Our eyes in the next room, our ears for things we might miss. But what in the world happens when you can't trust those senses anymore? So the horror isn't just about some monster in the dark. It's about losing the ability to trust your own perception of reality. Everything is being filtered through this corrupted digital lens, and that is a kind of terror that feels uniquely modern. Okay, so it's no longer just a passive glitch on a screen. In this next section, the ghost in the code, the entity, whatever it is, starts to get active. It begins to mimic, to distort, and to launch a full-on psychological attack. And this part is just so unsettling. The entity grabs the very first thing Elias muttered when this all started, "Damn cat," and it plays it back to him as this corrupted, looping audio file. It literally weaponizes his own voice, turning a throwaway comment into a mocking, relentless chant. Oh, this is brilliant. The script takes a feature we see every day, those little yellow boxes on your phone's camera that find faces, and it turns it into an instrument of pure terror. Elias is staring down a dark, empty hallway, but his phone sees a crowd. The threat is right there, invisible to his own eyes, but absolutely confirmed by the machine in his hand. We have now reached the climax. All the other systems are corrupted, and there's only one piece of tech left. This is the ultimate betrayal, the moment the smart home goes from being a helpful servant to an active predator. So after everything he has been through, Elias is backed into a corner, and suddenly his smart speaker chimes in. The voice is perfectly cheerful, and the message is just bizarrely normal. "I have added Run to your shopping list." For just a split second, it's so weird it's almost funny. It's this moment of total absurdity right before the final blow lands. And then you get this line. The cheerful, robotic voice corrects itself with cold, unmistakable intent. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't about a shopping list. It was a command. This is the exact moment the helpful AI reveals itself as something intelligent, something malevolent. The last piece of tech he could trust has finally turned. So let's pull all the way back and look at the anatomy of this story. What exactly makes the HomeSafe Haunting a perfect recipe for this new breed of tech horror? What are the core principles at play here? What we've been breaking down is a textbook example of a growing genre you might have heard of,
IoT horror. That's Internet of Things horror. It's a subgenre that preys on our total reliance on connected devices, effectively turning our smart homes into smart traps.
And the HomeSafe Haunting just masterfully ticks all the boxes. It weaponizes convenience, turning those helpful alerts into triggers of pure dread. It totally plays on our fear of surveillance, making security cameras a window for the monster. It corrupts reality itself, and of course, it turns that friendly helper AI into the ultimate villain.
So, we'll end with a question for you to think about. This story, it isn't just about a haunting, is it? It's about isolation. In a world where we are connected 24/7 through our devices, what could possibly be more terrifying than having that connection severed, or even worse, turned against you, leaving you completely alone with the ghost in the machine?